So that flower there from the pawpaw, my Tennessee seedling, has been open for several days, so it should be a male now. My plan this year is to hand pollinate pawpaws, but I really don't think I want to use a male from this Tennessee seedling. I think I want to, like, especially for my name cultivars, so I don't really want to pollinate this male with like NC1 or sunflower or mango or any of that. I think I want to do one of them to pollinate these just so it produces fruit and seeds. But when I collect seeds or fruit from the other pawpaws, the grafted ones, I need to separate it to say we chose two better quality fruiting pawpaws to breed here. So far in the years that we've had this produce fruit, it's been small and the taste has not been that great in my opinion. Now we're doing a better fertilizer regimen right now, and hopefully that'll encourage larger fruit. We'll see. So one of the problems we had with the Tennessee seedling was how long it took to mature. So even if we get better quality fruit, bigger fruit, from amping up our fertilizing regimen, if that trait of taking so long to bear fruit is genetic, then it could be another like 15-20 years to see if its seedlings, the seedlings that the Tennessee seedling produces, is actually worth growing. However, we have a Florida panhandle seedling that was flowering at like 3 or 4 years old. So that is a good trait in itself to, just for the purposes of the plant breeder, to know within, 3, 4, 5 years if they're breeding, if the seedlings were going to produce good fruit. Actually, it'd probably take a little longer because, just because a plant is 2 or 3 foot and producing flowers doesn't mean you should let it fruit. But once it reaches, 6, 8 foot, it's, you can let it produce, a couple fruit and see how the quality of it, and that would let us know if it's something we would want to multiply and put out there, give away, trade, sell, whatever it is. We're looking for things that obviously would flower and fruit further south than pawpaws natively fruit. So we do not know how much extra like male pollen we're going to have. It's probably either little or none for the mango this year, probably very little from the NC1. So most likely the NC1 and sunflower would be the biggest cross that we would attempt this year. And then if we had enough male, pollen, probably from the NC1, we would try to cross it with the panhandle seedling. In a year or two, we may have more stuff to cross it with, or more male pollen, more flowers that we can, if we somehow start liking the quality and size of the fruit of the Tennessee seedling, then we can also, experiment with that as well, pollinating that, or even for our own, use to eat, The thing is, the quality of the fruit tastes like an avocado and a persimmon. It was small, and because you know you can't eat the seeds and the around the peel is bitter, you know, there's a very limited supply of like, you know, avocado like, you know, fruit in it. And some people say that, you know, the first couple years a pawpaw fruits, sometimes they're small, but I don't know if the taste actually changes. So that's going to be something we'll only know, you know, this year, next year, you know, or if this is just going to be a total, we're going to write this tree off or try to graft it or multi-graft onto it, you know, it's hard to tell. But it is our largest tree and has most of the flowers, so if nothing else, we can use the seedlings that it produces for grafting materials. So this kind of blurry picture is a picture taken April 18th of last year of the only bloom that our mango pawpaw has produced so far, and I do not see any like swelling blooms or anything so far this year. So I've thought, you know, other trees, grafted ones that I got at the same time as this one, have bloomed a lot, and I've thought for years, I was like, well, this one just may not get its chill hours either, even though it's like one state north of us where it originated in Georgia. But it bloomed once. I mean, maybe in a couple of years it'll bloom more, but we'll see. It's very possible that this is just a borderline chill hour plant, but it's hard to tell. I know in like the Panhandle, which is a little colder than here, may have 50 or whatever extra chill hours, or 100 versus us, and it is said to be something that flowers there and produces fruit. Guess we'll only know in a few years, and you know, if we see more flowers or just flowering every few years, then you know that's probably not a good trait to try to breed for an area that you're trying to get. You know, you got limited chill hours versus its native habitat, so you want something that'll consistently bloom as a trait, you know, that you want to genetically breed into. And just for reference, this is our first pawpaw bloom of the season, which was on the Tennessee seedling. It's probably 15 to 18 foot high, you know, which you can see. I zoomed in from like the ground around a ladder or something right there, and then, you know, I kind of pulled the limb into the palm of my hand and took the pictures here. So just so you know, I take pictures all the time, and the pictures aren't usually in videos, but the video, when I'm doing a video, it may not get a good close-up shot like this. So that's the Tennessee seedling, the first flower of 2023. And this here is the size of the Tennessee seedling fruits. That's the palm of my hand. There's the little fruit, maybe a little bit bigger than average loquat. And here's what the flesh looks like. It was fully ripe, soft, yellow, and very bitter, especially around the, if you eat around the peel. And then this good stuff here was just slightly sweet, persimmon, avocado-like stuff. And then there was the two seeds that come out of it. So there it is. So we hope that with the proper fertilization and with the age of the fruiting age, that this will become bigger this year, as I said. But if not, that's a good reason that it wouldn't really qualify for something that you would select for breeding purposes. This is what an immature pawpaw from the asimina triloba looks like. And when it, you know you got fertilization on something when you start seeing that grow. But you know, the leaves are so big, and it's hard to spot fruit, you know, especially when they're immature. Some of them just pop up when they're almost ripe, and you're like, okay, there's one, or there's one on the ground or something like that. But yeah, that's what they look like. Some of the native ones kind of look like a peanut. Some of the native ones also look like, you know, these type of pawpaws, just way smaller. And here's two immature ones that are a little bit bigger than the last ones. Yeah, they kind of look like something, but you know. And this is what a future flower, possibly fruit, is going to look like, you know, in your, this is how you know if your pawpaw is potentially going to flower. So you got these little round, you know, dark buds, and they swell over time until they actually produce the flower. When they flower, they'll start out like green around the outside, and then they'll turn more like purple. So it's definitely a very unique flower, and I think they're very pretty. Leaf buds will look a lot different than the flower buds. You know, think of like this thing before the leaf starts, you know, coming out of it. But they're kind of long and got a little point at the tip versus being round. You know, that could be a flower bud there, that could be a flower bud there. I'm not sure looking at this photo, but when they start to leaf out, they got the green leaves coming out. So this was my Florida Panhandle seedling when it was planted, probably in 2014. It was like 2 foot, 2.5 at max. And a year later, it produced flowers. And now it's probably like 14 foot, 12 foot, not sure exactly how high, maybe not quite that high, but that's the one that made me say, okay, well, this could be a trait we want to breed, just so that as a plant breeder that is looking for good quality stuff that will produce here, like fruit, having something that'll produce in 5 or 10 years, maybe less, gives us, you know, a lot more time for experimentation and rebreeding of traits, you know, specific traits. So does that mean a seedling from this and you know, a better cultivar is always going to fruit that fast and flower that fast? Who knows? Maybe it'll be in between the two cultivars, or maybe not at all. But it's just something that you got to think about, you know. Yeah, this is a rare butterfly, the zebra swallowtail butterfly, that pawpaws actually attract. So if you do not have pawpaws, you may never see one of these. At least I hope I'm identifying it right. But I don't remember ever seeing one of these until I started having successes with pawpaws surviving and growing on my property. Yeah, a lot of people plant pawpaws, you know, native pawpaws, and you know, this is considered a native since it's like a panhandle, you know, northern Florida native as well. But it doesn't have the spread of some of the other native pawpaws, but they all attract the zebra swallowtail butterfly, I think. And a lot of people plant different plants to attract butterflies, hummingbirds, and you know, these guys are usually they're pollinated by like flies and beetles, and then they're the host plant to the zebra swallowtail butterfly. And you know, other plants attract bees and probably ants and wasps and different types of flies. So it's kind of an important link in the chain of, you know, pollinators. You know, if you just like to plant, you know, native plants and native pollinating, native tractors and stuff. Picture like is a native pawpaw. I'm not sure if it's a scrub pawpaw or what, but it has some nice yellow flowers that are pretty big. They kind of hang upside down like a bell or something. They are flowering, I think, all over Florida or wherever in Florida that they grow, and usually like higher, like sandy areas that do not have like wet feet and stuff like that. So very dry areas. At first, you know, I smelled a flower and I really didn't smell much, but I had like 3 bunches of, you know, flowers that I cut to bring to somebody. It was on their property, and we noticed that there was a very, like a sweet smell, very good smell to it, you know, when they were all together, and that was kind of nice. But yeah, there are multiple types of pawpaws that are, and some people are hybridizing them, and in the next 3, 4, 10 years, you'll probably see if they were worth hybridizing for a fruit market, you know, and if so, you'll probably start seeing the plants on the market from somebody, you know. There's people up north crossing them. There's people, I guess, potentially in Florida crossing them. I was gonna like show everybody my NC1 and sunflower and say, okay, this is what I'm gonna hand pollinate, but this kind of turned into a different type of video where I show you guys a lot of like pictures of my blooms and pawpaws and all that good stuff and fruit. In the future, hopefully I have pictures and videos of really big fruit, really good quality fruit, multiple trees producing, and eventually I would like to get some of these natives in areas where I can actually grow them. And the big problem with these is that wildlife gets them easily. So if you're waiting on these guys to ripen when you see fruit, and the pollination, the amount of pollination they get is small. Last year I was in a field of like 400-600 of them. We only found like 15 trees that actually had pollinated fruit, so they had like immature fruit on them. When people came back, you know, to look and see if the fruit was maturing or ripened, they were all gone. So deer or something ate them way before they ripened. So nobody could collect seeds or anything like that. So anyway, I think I'll end this video here. It's pretty long already.